Yellow, yellow. We are live, I believe. I'm trying to make sure that everything is a-okay on my computer. Trying to make sure I can see everybody, see the chat. Sorry for being late too. It's 1:03. I try to be on here like 1 o'clock even. I was expelling waste from my body, so I'm sure you guys can understand. But we are back. We are live. I'm your guy, the host, Nicola Wood, BJJ, back with another MMA Monday. I was just going off the top there. I'm flipping rapping. But this past weekend, I didn't do a MMA Monday this past Monday or the Monday before this because there just wasn't any MMA fights or just any really. There were MMA fights, but just not fights I cared to talk about. There were Bellator fights. It was the Pitbull fight against I'm forgetting the guy's name, Emmanuel Sanchez. It was a good fight, but I kind of expected to go the way it went. I mean, Sanchez got knocked out in the first round, which I think everybody pretty much expected. I mean, not to get knocked out in the first round, but I think everybody expected Pitbull to pretty much run through him. He's probably the best guy that Bellator's got. But this past weekend, we had the Vettori versus Holland. Really, the Vettori versus Till. That's what I got written down in my notes here. I was expecting to be talking about Darren Till because he's one of my favorite fighters, but that fight didn't happen. He ended up getting injured, which actually happened in that 2-week period that I didn't do an MMA Monday. So it is Holland, or it was Holland, and I think that fight pretty much went the way it went. I didn't get to see like the whole card. The only fights that I saw, well, actually, the only fight I did fully see was the Holland and Vettori fight. I saw like pretty much more than half of the the Arnold Allen and Yusuf fight. Sadiq Yusuf. That was a good fight. I was really surprised. Like when I was looking at a lot of the bets, which was one of the things I talked about in my video or the video I did for the reaction to the Holland Vettori card, and there was like a lot. If you guys bet on UFC fights, there was a lot of good lines and a lot of good picks this past weekend. Like Arnold Allen, he pretty much beat the snot out of Sadiq Yusuf. I mean, Yusuf turned it on in the third round, but for the most part, it was a straight beatdown. Allen looked good, and they had him as like a plus 130 underdog, I want to say. Same thing with Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern with the first round submission. She's a BJJ world champ, an ADCC world champ. I mean, very decorated as it gets in terms of grappling. Her father's like a jiu-jitsu legend. Sorry, I blanked there. I was trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name. It's like Megatron or something. I'm blanking on his name, but he's a jiu-jitsu legend. And I mean, for her to be an underdog as well, she was like a plus 115 underdog. I don't know if you guys bet on fights, but it was literally a gold mine this week. And all of my bets I pretty much won. I did spontaneously like live bet the Holland fight just because I thought maybe Holland was going to catch him there towards the end when Vettori was getting I guess lazy or careless because he was pretty much just having his way with Holland. But no, I mean, other than that, like all the bets that I placed before the card happened, like the ones I actually like really kind of put some time into and actually put together, I hit every single bet. Same thing with this past weekend or the fights before with the Ngannou and Stipe card. Literally hit every single one of my bets. And I even talked about too in my last video. If you guys want me to put my bets up on here, I used to make like betting videos like who to bet on. Because I mean I'm pretty good at picking these fights. I don't have any like analytics data or anything that I base this off of. I'm like literally just a flipping nerd. I've watched God knows pretty much I would say almost every UFC card since. I mean, literally this past card that I didn't get to see, like the previous prelims and everything else. I literally watched the card from the very first fight to the very last fight, and this was probably one of the first cards, and I would say close to a year that I didn't actually get to see the full card. I literally watch almost every single card, and that's just where I get my knowledge from, and I've just been watching this for as long as I can remember, pretty religiously, I'd say, for like the past 4 years. But I don't know, if you guys want me to do something like that, I'll post my bets for free. I'll throw that in along with these videos so it can kind of all parlay into each other. I do the preview, I guess, of everything on here. I can give my bets, do the reactions, then wrap everything up next week on MMA Monday. If that's something you guys want to see, let me know. But like I said, this card was a legit gold mine. I literally like 3x my money, which was nice, and that was off of the Arnold Allen fight, which was one of the fights I saw. And oh, I almost knocked off my mic. Which was the fight pretty much I saw like half of, and then the Holland fight, which was the only fight that I really saw, and the only other fight the fight that I lost, because I live bet it. That was I mean, I kind of expected that to go the way it went. I really thought, I mean, pretty much because it was gonna play out the same way that the Brunson fight did, because like Vettori pretty much has that style. You saw it in the Hermanson fight, and you've seen it in other fights. He's kind of got like he's got good boxing. He'll be in your face the whole entire time, but he's just gonna do things to pressure you. So if his boxing isn't working or it's pretty even on the feet, then he's gonna pressure you with takedowns. And then if you stop the takedown, he's just gonna go back to the boxing and just keep mixing it until he gets you down. And he's got pretty solid grappling. I want to say he's a brown belt. He maybe even be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got pretty good wrestling, and Holland actually is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I think part of the problem is Holland doesn't have good wrestling, and his takedown defense. Like, there were so many times when he was getting taken down where it was literally just like Vettori had like a body lock, and Vettori, like, either he had a body lock or he was just in on a double, and he was kind of shallow, but he would just like windshield wipe, change the angle, and go over and just take him down. And literally Holland could have just sprawled if he just would have flattened out his whole body and just like stiffened up his whole body. He could have stopped a lot of these takedowns, but I don't know. I think if I guarantee you, flipping Holland has way better takedown defense than I do, but I just think he needs to tighten up his takedown defense. And honestly, I think he needs to go down to 170. The dude weighed in at like 183, 184, I want to say. Like, and you're fighting someone like Vettori, who's probably, I mean, he's definitely cutting down to 185, and he's probably stepping the cage at every bit of 195. I would say even more than that probably. I don't know. I just think for someone who comes in who doesn't really cut any weight, I mean, if you come in at 183, you're not cutting weight. You're literally just like stepping on the scale. You might even be stuffing your pockets with change or something. And I'm pretty sure Holland's talked about doing that, where he's literally stuffed his pockets to get on the scale, just to make the weight look closer. And I feel like if that's the case, then you're just not trying. You're not trying, like, is in the sense that, this isn't like, I don't know, like, when like most people, like, your desire is to win and you're gonna do everything you possibly can to win. You're not really, like, if you're not cutting weight, because when you cut weight, you're giving yourself an advantage. You're going down to a weight class lower. So if Holland were to go down to a weight like 170, he'd be perfect because he's like 6'4", 6'3". The reach he has, I mean, into the striking, I mean, he's pretty good. He has the frame to keep people at range, and people aren't going to be as strong, so it's going to be easier for him to stop the takedowns. But I just feel like that's like one thing he's going to have to do. He's probably going to have to drop weight class, or he's going to have to put on muscle, because the only way he's going to be competitive is if he somehow evens out his weight to where it's competitive with his opponents. And I think you're starting to see that. I mean, like, his other fights worked, yes. The Jacare fight, he did get taken down. He got taken down. Well, he didn't get taken down. It was kind of like he kind of stumbled, and Jacare got on top, I want to say. I don't remember exactly, but it was fairly fast. And I'm going to be honest, I mean, yes, he knocked out Jacare on the ground, but the chances of doing that again to somebody else are pretty insane. I mean, the fact that he did to Jacare is pretty insane, but I don't know. I just think once he starts facing top-level competition, the Derek Brunsons, the Marvin Vettoris, if he's facing a Darren Till or whoever, you're not going to be able to just walk in at 180 whatever and then just fight at that weight. You're going to have to you're going to need to be prepared physically, mentally. You're not going to just be sitting there talking the whole time like he was in the Brunson. You saw that in this fight. I think he definitely came in more prepared. He seemed motivated. He seemed like he actually wanted to win. I just think it was short notice, and I can't really hate on him too much, but I don't know. I just think if he needs to be a little bit more calculated about what he's doing and take some time. Don't fight right away again. Wait, maybe put on some muscle or drop down to 170. Work on some takedown defense. I mean, he's got the skills. Like I said, a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's got pretty good kickboxing. The dude's got power. His coach Travis Luter's literally said it. He said on the Joe Rogan podcast that he's like one of the most talented athletes he's ever trained with. He just doesn't try, and I think that's literally the case, and that's what it seems like. I feel like if Holland actually put his mind into it and went all in, I think he would be pretty good, and I think he could actually have a pretty successful career, and he's marketable. I mean, people love him already, but I mean, losing 2 in a row. And you went from being 5-0 in 2020, and now you're 0-2 in 2021. You kind of want to get things together, or else people are going to stop caring about you. And as for Vettori, I really don't know. I mean, he wants to fight Adesanya next. I think if Holland was tagging up Vettori on the feet the way that he was in that fight this past weekend, I think he's gonna have serious problems with Adesanya. And I know they fought before, and it was a close fight, but I mean, you can't say that Adesanya hasn't grown since that fight. Same thing, Vettori definitely has grown since that fight, but I would think that Adesanya has grown more since that fight in leaps and bounds, just because he was a little bit greener of a fighter, and he was that good then in terms of MMA, not as overall fighter. I mean, he's been fighting for over 100 fights. But I mean, in terms of MMA and then the competition he's faced, like, he's faced way better competition in that period of time since their last fight than Vettori has, and he's had way more. I'm almost certain he's had way more fights than Vettori has in that period of time. So I would say that Adesanya has grown a lot more, and I think if Vettori was getting tagged up the way he got tagged up in the Holland fight, Adesanya is going to piece him up. Now, for the takedowns, I think Adesanya is going to have better takedown defense. I mean, he's coming off a loss where he pretty much got taken down and mauled on the ground. Not mauled, but he got taken down, and that's where he lost the fight. But I don't think that's gonna happen though in the Vettori fight. If that were to happen, I think Adesanya will be able to stop the takedowns, but I think Adesanya will just piece him up on the feet, and that's probably how the fight will play out. I don't really like that fight. If that's a fight that happens next for Vettori, then so be it. I would honestly like to see the Brunson fight, because then those two could fight to see who fights for the title next. It doesn't seem like Whitaker's too Like he doesn't really seem like he wants to, like that's something he's really seeking out. Is fighting for the title. It's just like whatever happens, happens. So I feel like if you're at Adesanya and you're UFC, maybe just keep it fresh. If he wants, if Whitaker wants to fight for the title next, let him fight for the title next. But if not, just do a Brunson and Vettori fight. See whoever wins that, have them fight for the title. That'd be an interesting fight because pretty much those are both the guys that beat Holland in the past month. I don't know. I think that's pretty much kind of wraps up this past weekend for the Vettori and I almost said Till, the Vettori and Holland recap. Looking at my notes here, I'm trying to see. I got a few things written down. I want to talk about the fights next weekend. We actually have two pretty big cards that I want to talk about, or two big fights that I want to talk about. First one obviously is the Whitaker and Gaslam, the UFC fight. I haven't even looked at the card. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna switch this over. I'm gonna figure out how I can work some witchcraft here. I'm gonna switch over to where you can guys see the screen. I want to see if anyone's commenting too. No one is commenting. That sucks. If you guys have any questions, do you guys want to talk about the fights? Give your opinions. Let me know. I want to hear from you guys. I want to get some conversation going, so it's not just me talking to a mic and a webcam. Let me figure this out, and I will pull it up so I can show the card, and then we can go through the fights. I may know some of these fighters, I may not. So like I said, I haven't looked at this. Here we go. I think we are all gravy in the Navy. All right, what do we got? This is the prelims. My dad's texting me. Don't need that popping up on my podcast right now. Here we go. First fight is Tony Gravely and Anthony Burchak. I want to say I've seen Burchak fight. I don't know about Gravely. I don't know anything about either of these fighters, to be honest with you. If I'm just basing this off looking at these two fighters right now, I'm just going to say Burchak simply because I know he's fought in the UFC before. And I want to say he's fought some decent competition because I feel like I remember him facing like somebody fairly decent. So I'm probably going to go with Burchak. But I don't know. Tony Gravely, I don't know if he's fought in the UFC before. He looks like he looks like a fairly older guy. Let me see if I can click on him. Maybe not. It's not letting me. I want to see if I can pull up some information on him. Sweet. Next fight is Zarafern and Jose Nunes. Like I said, I don't know anything about either of these two fighters. I'm gonna go with, just because I can see Farron's face, I'm going with Farron. And then the third fight on the prelims, we got Mearshart and Fabinski. I think Fabinski is a Polish guy, if I'm pretty sure. I want to say this is his UFC debut, and I'm getting spammed again with family group chat. Gerald Mearshart and Jared Mearshart and Fabinski. This fight, Mearshart is actually coming off his knockout, or his like 30-second knockout from Hamzat Chimaev, which was pretty bad. And I think that he hasn't fought. That was like what, back in the summer. It's been a while since he's fought. So this is his first fight back. He's a very seasoned UFC veteran. He's had plenty of UFC fights. I think honestly, I don't know. I don't know much about Fabinski. But I don't know. I think Mearshart might want to come out and prove something. He has fought some pretty tough competition. He's beat tough guys too. He's just kind of like I don't want. It sounds disrespectful, but I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. He's just kind of like a journeyman fighter. He's fought a lot of people, and he's had a lot of fights. Not like those fights of like super like elite competition, like championship fights. But he's been around, and he's a tough guy, and he knows how to fight. I might just go with him just simply because he's got the experience. And again, like I said, I've done zero research. I'm literally just looking at these and giving you picks. I've done zero research. Once I actually do some research and look at things, look at lines, look at people's records, stuff like that, then I can formulate something. But next fight, Jessica Pena and Lupita Godinez. Again, I can't see Godinez's face, so I'm going with Pena. Alexander Romanov and Juan Espinino. Alexander Romanov, actually, I'm pretty sure is the guy that has like this weird choke where he like suffocates people with his forearm. Like he literally just lays on top of you and then just suffocates you with his forearm. I think if that's the guy I'm thinking of, I'm definitely going with him. Juan Espinino is pretty tough as well. I want to say he's knocked out some fairly tough guys, or he's fought some fairly tough guys. But I might go with Romanov because those dudes with the Russian last names, they scare me. And I think if he can get him to the ground, I think that might be the tail of the fight. So I'm gonna go with Romanov in this fight, just simply because he's scary. Let me go back to this now. Tracy Cortez and Justine Kish. I don't know anything about either of these two fighters. I'm gonna go with. I think I've been going with all the people on the left side for the fights that I don't know. So I'm just gonna go with Cortez because That's the theme of tonight. And then we're going on to the main card. I said the theme of today, not the theme of tonight. Ricardo Llanos and Bill Algeo. Probably gonna go with Ricardo Llanos. Hamos. I don't know why I said Llanos. Ricardo Hamos. Second fight on the main card. Like I said, these are just quick picks, not zero thought or anything going into these. Luis Pena and Alexander Munoz. Pena is a good guy. He fights with he fights out of AK, and he's a pretty skilled fighter, but I feel like he's like a lot of his losses are split decisions or things where he's just kind of been complacent and not really fought the whole fight through. He's skilled. Munoz, on the other hand, I want to say he's like coming off the Contender Series or something. I'm probably just because experience-wise, I want to say he's only like 6 or 8 fights, something like that, like 6-1, 8-1, something like that. Pena, not a crazy record, but more experience, and he's got more UFC experience. I'm gonna go with Pena on this one. Jacob Malkoun and Abdulrazak Alassan. I forget who Malkoun fought, but he got knocked out fairly fast whenever he fought last. And Abdulrazak Alassan actually is another dude who's got he just got knocked out by Chaos Williams, I want to say. He's actually on a 2-fight losing streak, and Alassan actually is pretty good. Like he's got power in his hands, and he's got fast hands, and he's got powerful hands. But I feel like he just tries to go like balls to the wall and just tries to knock you out, and then he just gasses himself out, and that's when he gets beat. Except for the last fight with Chaos Williams, he just got caught and got smoked. But I think in this fight, Malkoun is only like, I want to say he's like 4-0, 5-0 again. Like same thing with Munoz. He doesn't have a lot of experience, and same thing with Alasani. He doesn't have a crazy record, but he just has more experience. So I'm gonna go with him in this fight. And then we got Andrei Arlovsky versus Chase Sherman. Andrei Arlovsky, dude, he's like one of those guys that's just been fighting forever. Honestly, fighting way longer than he needs to. Chase Sherman, I don't know anything much about him. He looks a lot younger, I'd guess, than Arlovsky, just because Arlovsky's been fighting forever. I'm just going to go with Arlovsky because Arlovsky actually looked good his last fight. I forget who he fought. It was a pretty decent guy and won. He beat the guy. I think. I could be wrong. You know, I'm about to look because I don't want to look like an idiot. But I'm pretty sure I am getting absolutely spammed right now. I got to figure out a way to turn this off. This is driving me nuts because I don't want this to keep popping up when I'm flipping making a podcast. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Got to find a way to turn this off. Sweet. Hopefully that works. If that doesn't work, then I don't know what to do. What was I gonna do now? I'm sorry, guys. This has been a complete a lot of curveballs thrown at me. Trying to roll with the punches here. Now let me go back. I'm sorry, I forgot. I gotta go back to this screen now. And we are back. All right. Andrei Arlovsky. Let me see. Okay, I was wrong. He got choked out by Tom Aspinall. That was right. Aspinall just pretty much, I think he blast doubled him, took him down, and just pretty much steamrolled him. But Tanner Bosser and Felipe Lins, those are the two guys I was thinking of because Bosser actually had a lot of a good amount of hype behind him. Same thing with Lins, pretty good fighter. Decision both of them, but as you can see by his record, the dude is his better days are definitely behind him, and he's just on and off, and really he's just kind of like a guy that up and coming guys fight to pretty much see what kind of fighter they are. And then we go back over here. Jeremy Stevens, Jakar Close. Jakar Close was actually supposed to fight fairly recently. I forget what happened. But I think Jeremy Stevens might be one of his first fights back in 155 in a while. I don't know. I think Jeremy Stevens is a little bit small for 155, and Jakar Close is a pretty big guy. He's a pretty thick guy for 155. I think he's just size-wise going to be bigger. I'm probably going to go with Close in this fight. And then for the main event, we got Robert Whitaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. This is actually a very interesting fight because this fight was actually supposed to happen back in 2018, I want to say. 2019, back when Whitaker was actually the champion. And this was actually when Izzy fought Anderson Silva, and they got bumped up to the main event, but it was only a 3-round main event because they were scheduled to be the co-main, but it wasn't a title fight or anything like that, so and that's what the bout agreement was. So that's why it was 3 rounds, but this is the fight that was supposed to happen then, and it's happening now, not for the title, but Whitaker is the #1 guy, and Gastelum's actually number 8. He's stepping in because Paulo Costa had to come out or pull out of the fight for I don't even know what reason. Probably was drunk or something. But Whitaker is the #1 guy, so really if Gastelum somehow pulls off a win, he could be back in title contention, really. I mean, the dude, Gastelum's had a pretty rough past couple fights. He's lost to Till, he lost to Hermanson, he lost to, I want to say he's lost to someone else. Um, I'm gonna pull this up now. But he's a good fighter, but he just has a I feel like part of the reason too is he's like a little undersized for 185. He's like in a weird in between thing where like 170 he can't make 170. Like that was the problem why he didn't fight at 170 more because he kept missing weight. But like at 185 he's just I think he's a little, I don't know, it works because he wins, but I think if he wants to long term be competitive, he either has to find some way to get back down to 170, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I just think he's a little small for 185. He's just got a weird build. Like he should be in like an in between weight class. If there was like if it was 55, 65, 75, 85, he'd be like a 75 kind of guy. But yeah, we can see he's lost to Adesanya, which was a war. Lost to Till, and then lost to Hermanson, and then just beat Ian Heinisch. But like as you can see, he was for a while pretty solid, and he's just been pretty shaky in his last couple fights. But it's all against top level competition, so you can't really knock it. Honestly, I just think in this fight, same thing. I think Whitaker's more. He has the frame of a middleweight, and he's big, he's fast, he's strong, and he's got very good striking, very good kickboxing, and he can wrestle too. So if they try to take the fight to the ground, I think it doesn't really matter where the fight goes. I think this fight honestly will play out on the feet. I think it'll probably just be a kickboxing match, and Gaslam does have some pretty good hands. I think honestly though that Whitaker is probably just gonna get the better of him just because he's a little bit sharper technically. With his kickboxing is a little bit more diverse. Not to say that Gaslam isn't skilled there. I just think too his size, his speed might play a difference. And I don't know what the reach is on this. I wish I could somehow. Oh, there we go. Now it finally pulls up for the flipping main event. Let me see what the reach is on this. So yeah, Whitaker's gonna have a 2-inch reach. It's not crazy. If he can manage to keep him at the end of his punches, good for him. But I was gonna say if he had a bigger reach, that might be a big difference maker. But 2 inches isn't anything crazy. I don't know. But that's pretty much my quick picks in the recap for not recap, but my predictions for the Whitaker versus Gaslam card. And then over here we got the Ben Askren and Jake Paul fight. I don't know what the card is for that, so I'm gonna look that up actually. Jake Paul versus Ben Askren card. We're gonna figure this out. Figure out who's fighting on here because I do know that what's his name, Antonio Tarver's fighting Frank Mir, which is dumb because you're getting a former world like I think the whole thing they're trying to paint here is MMA versus boxing, but you're getting a grappler to face a boxer in Ben Askren and Jake Paul, but Jake Paul's not really a boxer. He just has better hands, I guess, than Ben Askren, or as it appears. And then Antonio Tarver and Frank Mir. Frank Mir again is an MMA fighter. He's a world champion MMA fighter, but okay, I gotta double check that now. I'm pretty sure Frank Mir is a heavyweight. Yeah, he was. I'm not even gonna look. You guys can flame me in the comments if he wasn't, but he was. I'm pretty almost like 90% sure he was a UFC champion. And then you got him facing Antonio Tarver, who's a boxing world champion. He's actually the guy that played Mason Dixon in Rocky, whatever, the one that came out in like 2006. And it just, oh, my dog's going crazy. Someone rang the doorbell. It's just dumb because you're getting, again, it's trying to make the whole thing where it's boxing versus MMA, but you're getting grapplers and putting them against boxers. It's just dumb, and it's kind of a cheap way to sell it. Actually, Frank Mir is not fighting Antonio Tarver. He's fighting Steve Cunningham. I'm not familiar with who that is. Joe Fournier and Raycon. I don't know who those guys are. Raycon, those are the flipping Ray J headphones. And then Regis I don't know who these guys are, the Regis and Ivan guy. Again, I know boxing, but I don't know like outside of like a lot of the main guys. I know boxing history. If we want to talk boxing history, I can talk boxing history about like old fighters or older fighters. Not very well, but more than your average 21-year-old kid, I guess, my age. I don't know, but I don't recognize a lot of these guys outside of Ben Askren and Frank Mir. So. And obviously Jake Paul. So I really don't know for predictions. I did actually make a prediction video last week for or 2 weeks ago, I want to say, for the Jake Paul and Ben Askren fight. Go ahead and check that out. It's dead even odds. That's kind of crazy. I thought maybe they would have Jake as a favorite. But Frank Mir, I honestly think Frank Mir will lose. I'm going to look up who Steve Cunningham is, just because if Steve Cunningham's a legitimate boxer, then I'm going to say Frank Mir is going to lose just because a boxer is going to win in a boxing match 9 times out of 10 against. Yeah, he looks like a performer or a former boxer. Let me see what his credentials are. Probably look like an idiot. Well, he's got kind of a shaky record. He was 19-0. I mean, he's fought good competition. He lost to Tyson Fury, got knocked out. He lost or went to a draw with Tarver. I don't know. He's not. I mean, he's fought a lot of these guys. I don't know, but he does have notable names on here. It doesn't look like he has won any major titles. He's fought for the WBO cruiserweight title. He's fought. I mean, he's fought for major titles, but he hasn't won any major titles. I think Frank Mir will probably win that fight. Let me go back to my notes, see what we got. Nothing really crazy. Anderson Silva said he was gonna do a boxing match against Julio Cesar Chavez. I don't know how I like that. It's just dumb because it takes me back to the same thing where it's like, why are all these boxing guys calling out MMA fighters and getting them in boxing matches to try to prove that boxing's superior sport or whatever MMA? But it's cheap because that's literally like boxing is your hands are the main thing in boxing, but in MMA your hands are literally one of like 10 things you can use to subdue someone. Like you could use your elbows, you got knees, kicks, your hands, you could choke someone, you could break their arm, there's so many different things, the clinch. There's just so many different facets, martial arts and things like that, to where if these boxers were to go in MMA fights, they wouldn't stand a chance. Literally, they would have to like rewind their lives, and the whole time, a good chunk of the time they spent training for boxing, they would have to put years of that, transfer years of that, or convert years of that into MMA training somehow. And that's the only way it would really work. Like otherwise, you're just gonna those boxers would not stand a flipping chance. Like we saw this. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go and I got it on my computer. The only boxer that ever actually went to face somebody in the octagon, a UFC fighter, was what's his name, James Toney. And right here, we saw how that went. James Toney got pretty much smothered, and there you go. That's how it went for James Toney, and that's why boxers won't go over to fight guys. And that never mind. I just realized that none of that showed because I didn't switch it over. I'm new to this. I'm learning. I'm trying to get better. Let me go back and show James Toney getting choked out. Right here, you see they're standing on the feet, right, and then I think he gets ankle picked right here. Boom, taken down. Starts wailing on him. He starts locking up a head and arm triangle. Cooks him to the bone, and that's it. James Toney was the first and last legitimate professional boxer to go over to fight somebody in the UFC, and I think there's a reason for that. And I think it's just the same thing. I don't understand why Anderson's fighting. He's probably gonna make more money in this fight than he's ever made in his UFC career. In one single fight, which is great for him, and that's probably the only reason he's doing it. So I can't really hate on him for that. But it's just cheap to me because I think we need if we're gonna do all these boxers versus MMA fights, we need to get another boxer in the octagon. I'm trying to think what else. There's nothing really more I got to talk about. All my notes are covered. There is some juicy tea though from Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Apparently that fight's off because Dustin brought light to the fact that Conor said that. I mean, everybody knows that Conor was the one that offered actually to donate $500,000 to Poirier's the Good Fight Foundation. He was the one that initially offered, said he was going to do it as a nice thing, as a part of like a charitable act for this fight, because he's like feeling very charitable for giving Poirier a rematch, and he said he was just a parlay and it was charitable feeling. He was going to give him $500,000 for his charity, and he was the one that offered. And then after the fight, after he got knocked out, never actually followed through with giving the $500,000. And Poirier called him out about that, or he said something whenever he gave his prediction. When Conor gave his prediction for the third fight, he was like, "That's an awesome prediction. You also predicted you'd give $500,000, et cetera, and you never did." So then that set Conor off. Conor went on it like he literally went like at like Dustin's neck. He was calling him a broke hillbilly, saying all kinds of things. You just want my money. You're not even gonna use this for like charity. He's just gonna use his money to have his money or whatever. Pretty much just like ripping Poirier and saying that like Poirier didn't give any details to where it was gonna go, and he was like, "Yeah, we were trying to give you details, but you just stopped responding to after the fight." So pretty much it seems, from what it seems to me, now I may be biased because I did pick Conor to win. I did pick Poirier to win against Conor this past fight, and I like Poirier. Poirier's one of my favorite fighters, and I could be biased, but it really seems to me, if I'm just observing this in the conversation, the thread of conversation of what happened, it literally looks like that because after that, Conor said, "You know what, I'm not fighting you, I'm going to fight someone else because you don't deserve to fight me," and all this stuff. It literally seems like that he struck a nerve with Conor because, like, same thing with John Jones, Conor, a lot of these guys that are like really good but also have a lot of controversy surrounding their names, they're all like egomaniacs. I know I might get some, like, people might just hate on me for that, and I'm fans of a lot. I'm a John Jones fan. I like Conor too. I like watching Conor fight, but these dudes are egomaniacs. And I think that's what makes them so good. But it's things like this when like something like that happens, it literally just sets them off. He's like, I'm not gonna fight you. I literally think that's what it is because it literally, like, if you look at the thread of conversation, it literally after Poirier brought light to the fact that Conor wasn't a man of his word and he actually said he was going to donate money to charity and never did. Kind of looks bad on Conor's end, and I think that it kind of, I guess, in Conor's eyes, ruined his public image, which his public image has already been ruined. Not ruined, but it's been tarnished by himself. So Poirier is not really doing anything crazy, and it's not ruined. It's not anything bad, but I think he realized that it's not good for his public image, so then that made him mad, and that made him give the response he gave. Whether or not the fight's actually going to happen or not, I really don't know. I think that's the fight to make. If that doesn't happen, then I honestly think that probably either Conor's just going to fight Nate or Poirier is going to somehow just wait for the title. I don't know, but I think honestly that fight should happen because what Conor's just going to live the rest of his life knowing he got knocked out and then decided not to donate money and then never even did the trilogy match to make it right to see really where the better fighter was or where the truth lied, because that's really what, like, that's the whole reason of the trilogy fight, to find out really to settle it all and figure out who the better fighter or whatever is. I don't know, that's just what I think on that. I'm gonna go check the comments one more time to see if we got anything, people are saying anything. I accidentally closed out of it, so I'm going to pull it back up. If you guys are saying anything, I'm going to answer some questions, but other than that, I might wrap it up. My computer is incredibly slow because I don't think it has the processing capability to keep up with a flipping live stream, which is pretty sad, but doesn't look like we got any questions, so I think I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, please be sure to drop a like, share this, send this to someone else you guys would also know would enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you guys have anything you guys want to see me do, I already said that. I don't know. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Now I'll really catch you guys later. Peace. And I'm really excited.